So bring yourselves to a comfortable seated position. Kneeling is good. Feel free to sit up on some blocks. And take a few moments to find your breath. So breathing in for 4 and breathing out for 4. Allow your breath to feel steady. Being aware of both the in-breath and the out-breath. Feeling that you can feel the lungs from the bottom to the middle to the top as you breathe in, and empty the lungs, bottom, middle, top as you breathe out. Bring the hands to prayer position, sweep them up overhead, keep the arms nice and wide, and encourage the shoulders back, open up the chest, and then sweep them all the way down and extend them out in front of you into an extended child before coming up into cat. And we'll work through some cat-cow breaths. So as you breathe in, lift the tailbone, squeeze the shoulder blades together behind your back and lift your head. And as you breathe out, tailbone tucks under, push the back up to the ceiling and allow the head to come down between the arms. Take 5 rounds of this cat-cow breathing, allowing the movement to flow up the spine, drawing the belly in towards the spine as you breathe out, and really squeezing the shoulder blades together behind your back as you breathe in. Come back to a neutral cat. Then we're going to lift the right knee out to the sides. Keep the knee bent, but lift it out to the sides as if you were a dog cocking its leg, and do that 5 times before switching to the left side. So lift the left knee out to the side 5 times. And now we're going to circle the knee round. So again, keep the knee bent, bring it up to the arm, right knee, out to the side, then out back, and then back to the arm again. So see if you can get as wide a circle as you can with that knee. Come all the way forward, all the way out to the side, and all the way back. 5 times in one direction, and then 5 times circling in the opposite direction. Feeling any clicks in the hip. Before going to the other side. So start perhaps with just 3 points of contact. So knee to arm, knee out to the side and knee to the back, before smoothing that movement into a circle. 5 times in one direction, 5 times in the other direction. Feeling strong through the arms all the time. So pushing through the arms, don't allow the back to collapse. Keep the belly drawn in. Isolating that movement as much in the hips as you can. Rest back into child's pose now. Keep the arms extended out in front of you, feeling the stretch along the arms and the armpits. And then keeping the shoulders down, walk the hands over to the left and take a stretch up the side of the body. Come back to the centre and then walk the hands over to the right. Keeping the shoulders low, feeling the stretch up the left-hand side. Going back to the centre, lifting up, back into cat once more. Lift the right leg up, keep the knee bent, sole of the foot to the floor, and pulse that leg up 10 times. So almost as though you wanted to push the foot onto the ceiling. And once you've done that 10 times, keep that leg raised, straighten the right leg, bend the right leg and push the sole of the foot to the ceiling. And do that another 5 times. So straighten, bend, push to the ceiling. And then we'll go to the left. So this time pulse that left leg up 10 times. And then 5 times of straighten, bend, lift. Straighten, bend, push up to the sky. You should begin to feel this in the glutes, in the muscles around the buttocks. Good. Coming back into cat now. Extend the right leg behind you with the foot still on the floor. Sweep it out to the side and then lift it up so that it's hip height. So 5 of these. So sweep the leg out to the side and lift it up. And then go to the left. So left leg out, sweep it around to the side and lift it up to hip height. And do that 5 times. So keep the legs straight this time. Good. Resting down into child's pose once more. Taking an ease out. And then lifting yourselves up into downward facing dog. Stepping forward with the right foot into a low lunge. So drop the back knee, untuck the back toes. Keep that front knee bent, so the right knee bent with the knee over the ankle. And level the hips up. So lift the torso up and keep the left hip moving forward, right hip moving back, so the hips stay level. Bring the hands to prayer position at the heart center and pause here. Encouraging that hip movement before placing the hands either side of that right foot. Encouraging the knee forward, and then tuck the back toes under and just hover that back knee just an inch from the floor. Feeling that work in the hip, perhaps in the thigh. And then we're going to take the right hand onto the right knee and take a twist here. So keep the knee forward and the body close first of all. Take a nice twist and then encourage that right knee away from your body. And then lift and lower the right hand. So down to the floor inside the foot and then up to the sky. Feel the movement happening in the shoulder blades as well as just the arm and the elbow. Perhaps 5 of those before resting the right hand on the knee to encourage it away from you a bit further. And then we're going to lower down into lizard pose. So take either the hands or the forearms onto the floor inside of that right leg. Feel as though you could move the chest forwards. So rather than just thinking downwards, move the chest forward and see if that encourages the feelings in the hip. Good. Work your way back up to low lunge and then lifting back into downward facing dog. And then we'll step the left foot forward this time and repeat that on the other side. So first of all, lower the back knee, untuck the toes. Lift the torso up and encourage the hips to be level. Feel as though you can actively drag the left foot back and feel that that activates in the hip muscles. Right hip moving forward. Just awareness in the hips. Taking the hands either side of the foot now. And encouraging that deep lunge position, so the left knee moving forward. Perhaps tuck the back toes under and hover the back knee for a few breaths. And when you're ready, lower the knee, untuck the toes, and take a twist. So let's lift the left hand onto the left knee and move the body towards that leg. And then you can encourage the left leg away and feel a different sensation in the hip. Movement of the arms, so now the left hand comes down to meet the right before lifting it up to the sky. And once more, do 5 of those, all the time moving that left knee away from you actively and feeling this additional movement in the shoulder blades. So 5 repetitions before moving that knee away a little bit further from you using the hand and lowering yourself into lizard pose. So either hands or forearms down to the floor inside that left leg. Think about the chest moving forward, so we're lengthening the body down rather than bending over. And continuing to breathe here, allowing the hips to open. Come back up onto your hands, hands either side of the front foot. And now swivel yourself round into a wide-legged forward fold. Take the arms or the hands underneath your arms. Just take a few breaths here, bending, straightening the legs to ease out in the hips and the hamstrings. Stretching the underneath of the shoulders. And then take your right hand underneath your face and lift your left hand to the sky, coming into a twist. Feel the hips can stay level. And then go to the other side. So you want the hips to stay level here. You can notice whether the weight has changed in your both feet or your knees. That will give you an indication. And then take your hand down, lift them both to prayer position and lifting up. So from standing, we're going to move into Warrior Two. So position your feet so there's a slight inward movement of the toes on the back foot and the front foot. The knee is over the ankle. Actively using the muscles of your hips to open up that knee over the ankle. Then take it back into reverse warrior. So lower the back hand down to the thigh, top hand up to the sky. Keep bending through that knee, so we're aiming for a right angle. And then we're going to sweep all the way over into Parsvakonasana. So right elbow to the right knee, left arm sweeping up. So you're aiming for a diagonal from your left ankle to the left hip, to the left shoulder and left arm. Return through Warrior Two, realign the feet, and let's go to the other side. So coming down, bending that front knee at a right angle, active through the hips. Feel that you can actively work that front knee open, using the muscles in your hips. Gaze away over that far hand. Before coming into reverse warrior, keep that front knee bent, remember. Feeling strong through the hips. Stretching up the left side of the body. And then all the way over into Parsvakonasana. Left elbow to left knee, right hand sweeps up and overhead. Active through that back foot and stretching through the top hand. Good. Come back through Warrior Two into a wide-legged position. Take your hands to your hips, bend the knees, and take the torso forward in between your thighs. Keep the knees bent as you need to, so that you can reach down, keep the back as straight as possible, and grab the big toes. With the knees still bent, draw the body in between your thighs. And when you feel that you've got a deep stretch in the hips, then begin to take the tailbone up to the sky. So the elbows can bend, lifting the elbows up, keeping them bent and actively drawing the body down towards the legs. And then release the toes, take the arms out in front, draw the feet closer together now, and then drop the pelvis down towards the floor. So bend the knees deeply, coming into a squat. If you need blocks under your heels for this, that's absolutely fine. Just take a book or blocks or a rolled up blanket underneath your heels and just working into that deep squat. And then we're going to take the right arm inside the right leg. And if you can, take it all the way around that leg, touching the back of the hip. And then you can sweep the other arm up and interlace the hands if you can, or just take a stretch here. And then come back to the center, take a breath before going to the other side. So sweeping the other arm around the inside of the leg, all the way around to the back of the hip. The top hand comes over to reach around and either interlaces with the hand or just taking a stretch and a twist here. Come back to the center. All the time feeling those hips working in that squat position. And then bring the hips to about knee height, keep them bent, lift the torso up. Perhaps take a breath with the knees still bent before coming all the way up into a standing position. Come to the center of your mat now. We're going to work through some balances. So we're going to repeat the rotation exercise that we did in cat. So with your left knee, lift it up, take it out to the side and then take it down. 5 circles in one direction. Once again, isolating this movement as much as possible in the hips before going in the opposite direction. So 5 circles in the opposite direction, keeping the knee bent, circling through the hips. This is tricky for your balance. Feel free to place a hand on the wall. Find your balance on the other side. So let's go with the right knee now, lifting up, then out and down. Circling around 5 times in one direction, and then 5 times in the opposite direction. Finding a still point on the wall in front of you to settle your gaze. Be active through your core. This will really help your balance if you're mindful in your core all the time. And then lift the right knee up. Grab hold of the right toe, or if you would like to use a belt around the ball of the foot and extend that right leg out in front of you. Straightening the standing leg. And once you're feeling balanced, slowly taking that leg out to the side. Keeping both hips facing forward, so only going as far with that leg as your hips will allow. Mindfully drawing the leg back to the center, releasing the hand and holding the leg high for a few breaths. Bending that knee and coming back into the floor. Let's go to the left. So left knee nice and high, either using a belt or holding onto your big toe. And then extend that leg out in front of you. Keeping the standing leg strong, pushing out through that standing hip, but encouraging the right hip into the socket. And then taking the leg slowly out to the side, pausing when you feel the hips wanting to go with the leg. Keep the hips forward. And then taking that foot back into the center before releasing the hand and holding the leg in place for a couple of breaths. Bending that knee and then placing the foot back onto the floor. Come to the front of your mat. Bend the knees and lift the arms up, coming into Utkatasana, mighty pose or chair pose, so the knees stay bent. And then we're going to take a twist. So hands to prayer position, and take the left elbow onto the outside of the right knee. Push down with the right hand to draw you into the twist. And come back into Utkatasana just for a breath before going to the other side. So taking the right elbow now to the outside of the left knee, pushing down with the left hand to draw you deeper into the twist. Both hands to the floor and then to prayer position. And gently sitting down. And very slowly rolling yourself down onto the mat. With both knees bent, take the right ankle over the left knee and encourage that right knee open. You can use your hand if the hand reaches, and rather than just pressing on the knee, thinking about rotating the thigh outwards with that hand. So we're encouraging an opening in the hip. If that feels okay, you can draw the left knee in towards you, hold the knee around with the hands or around the back of the thigh is fine. And if this feels okay, you may want to go the stage further, which is to wrap the arms around the lower leg. So one elbow around the sole of the foot and the other elbow around the knee, and releasing the left leg to the floor. Encouraging the shin down to the chest. One alternative to this is to keep the left knee lifted, so the right ankle still rests on the left knee, but to straighten the left leg and hold on to the left ankle or the left calf. Good, and then flexing that top foot, be active in that leg. all the time keeping the hips down. Let's go to the other side. So now we're taking the left ankle over the right knee and encouraging that left knee out to the side. Avoiding any temptation to swing the hips as you open up that knee, so keep the hips level and down to the floor. Perhaps lifting the right knee and holding the right knee with the hands or around the back of the thigh. Feeling that you can draw that ankle a little bit closer to you and feel that happening in the hip rather than the knee. You can flex both feet. And once again, perhaps straightening up the right leg and holding around the back of the calf or the ankle. Or if you want to, you can cradle the lower leg as well, releasing the right leg to the floor. Always feeling that the tailbone is heavy, sinking down to the mat, and feeling that the hips are equal. And just return the right knee to carry that left leg down. And perhaps cross the ankles, bend the knees, hold on to the ankles and come into a seated position. Working with Baddha Konasana, cobbler pose now. So bring the soles of the feet together and bring the heels in towards the perineum. First of all, take the hands behind you, lean into your hands and use the muscles of your legs to actively draw the knees down towards the floor. You can pulse the knees if that feels good, or like I'm demonstrating here, perhaps let one knee lift and encourage the opposite leg down to the floor. Think about this being a rotation in the thigh. So rather than trying to jam the knee down, take the hand a little bit higher up the leg and encouraging an opening at the top of the thigh. Feel where that rotation happens in the hip. And then holding on to both feet, opening the feet up almost as though you were opening a book. Keeping the chest lifted so the back is as straight as you can make it, all the time actively working the knees down. This should feel, unless you're particularly flexible in the hips, you should have to actively work here to get the knees down. Opening the legs out now into a wide-legged forward fold. Just taking a gentle twist to each side, using the hands to guide you. And then we're going to bend the right knee and draw the right heel into the perineum. Hold on to that right ankle with the left hand and stretch up to the sky with the right hand. You might be able to stretch all the way over and hold on to the left foot. If not, just stretch up to the sky. Breathe in, coming up back to straddle. And then let's bend the left knee. Hold on to the left ankle with the right hand. Stretch up to the sky with the left hand, either stretching up to the sky or reaching all the way over to grab hold of the right toes. Breathing in and coming up. So coming into Dandasana, both legs straight. And let's bend the right knee and take the right foot onto the outside of the left leg. And then bend the left knee so that the left foot sits on the outside of the left hip. We're going to come into Ardha Matsyendrasana, taking a twist towards that bent leg. So if this doesn't work in the hips, feel free to straighten that bottom leg out. You can either wrap the elbow around that bent leg or take the outside of the elbow onto the outside of that knee. If your shoulders allow it, you may even be able to take a bind here. Take any arm position that works for you. Think about drawing the belly in to increase the twist. And then breathing in, facing forwards and drawing the knees together. So we're one foot level with each hip, with the opposite hip. Gomukhasana legs. If you want to take Gomukhasana arms, then please do. Otherwise, keep either the hands in prayer position or one hand on each sole of each foot. Again, all of these are options. You can forward fold here or stay upright, depending on what your hips allow. Breathe in and come up. Now we're going to spin around to the other side. So release the hands, place the hands in front of you and lift the hips and turn all the way around with the hands. Walk the hands around the body 360 degrees so you're facing the same direction, and you should find that you're in the opposite leg position. So first of all, Ardha Matsyendrasana twist. So you want the sole of the left foot down on the floor, turning towards that bent leg. Either wrap the right elbow around the left knee or take the right elbow onto the outside of the left knee. The opposite hand behind you to support you. Breathing in, draw the belly in, and breathing out, twisting. If your shoulders allow you to bind, feel free to go with the bind. Otherwise, keep one hand on the floor and the opposite pointing up. When you're ready to come out, gently release forwards and encourage that left foot back a little bit further towards the right hip so that the knees stack one on top of the other. Gomukhasana legs. Hands can either be in prayer position, hand to sole of foot, or you can sweep the left arm up, bend the elbow, right arm comes back behind you, Gomukhasana arms. If you have a forward fold here, please feel free to take a forward fold. These are intense hip openers, so be prepared to breathe deeply into your hips as you move through these stretches. It's fine to go only so far. Take your hands to the floor and find your way up into downward facing dog. Walk the legs out, and we're going to come into pigeon. So right knee to right wrist and swing the right foot over to the side a little bit. Level up with the hips. So even if your hips don't settle down onto the floor, it's important that they stay level. You don't want to twist in the back. Lay the body forward over that right shin. Either stretching the arms out in front of you, or as I'm demonstrating here, you can have the elbows on the floor and take the hands behind your head. And breathing here. Take the hands back to the floor and walk the hands back towards the knee. Just taking a twist, first to one side, a nice gentle twist just to see if it makes any difference in the hip position. And then come to the other side, just walking the hands around to guide you. Then tucking that back toe under, pushing through the hands, lifting back into downward facing dog. And then let's go to the left. So left knee towards left wrist, swing the left foot in a little bit and lower the hips down towards the floor. They may not reach the floor, and that's fine, as long as they're level. Untuck the back toe. And then we're going to walk both hands forward, laying the body over the left leg. Breathing here, breathing deep into the hip socket. Deep breaths in and deep breaths out. And come up, walking up with the hands. Turn to one side with the hands, using the hands as a guide to take you into a twist, one side and then the other. Noticing any difference in the hips, trying to keep them as low as you can. Tuck the back toes under, push into the hands and lift yourselves back up into downward facing dog. And then walking out the legs here. Stepping the right foot forward, then the left, breathing in, lifting up, breathing out, bending the knees, opening the knees nice and wide and lowering the torso in between the legs. So we're in a variation of a squat here. I have my heels lifted. If you can lower the heels, that's fine, or feel free to use a block under your heels. The knees are wide and the body's lowering down in between the knees, and you can take the arms forward or you can wrap them back around you and just rest. And then release the hips to the floor, gently lowering yourself down to the floor, nice and slowly, coming into Shavasana. And take as long here as you want. Draw a blanket on if that feels good. Namaste.